a climate change expert or a climate change scientist, but as was so clearly articulated by Dr. Dora this morning in his presentation, it is incumbent on all of us in the child development community, whether we're practitioners, we're researchers, advocates, or policymakers, to really become more well-versed in understanding the climate challenges and how they impact the youngest citizens. Children are really the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. It is really the next generation that is going to inherit an earth that is very different from the one that we inherited from our grandparents and parents. And in a Save the Children report, it was estimated that for every year in the next decade, close to 175 million children will have their health, education, and protection impacted, both in the short term as well as in terms of their long-term life trajectories as a result of exposure to these climate change events. So every aspect of the nurturing care domains, this framework that WHO launched last year, will be impacted, whether that's their health, their nutrition, their learning opportunities, and their protection, as well as the impact on their nurturing and responsive care. So what is it in terms of actions that we have to think about in our community in terms of how we continue to protect children's well-being and promote children's well-being? The first is really about ensuring that we continue to provide a protective, nurturing care environment and reduce the risks of toxic stress. So in terms of work where children have been followed after exposure to natural disasters, this work from Chile showed that before the earthquake in 2010, about 5.5% of children had been exposed to a traumatic event. But after the earthquake, at least 80% of children reported one stressful event, and 40% of children were experiencing 2 or more stressful events. The second is making sure that we leverage multi-sector coordination and planning, and this really needs to be invested in now. And thirdly, the last key action that I think we need to reflect on and think, in a survey from Australia, which looked at young children through to youth, it showed that 96% stated climate change was a serious global issue. Close to 90% were worried about the impact of climate change, but 70% expressed their voices were unheard. So it's critical to have age and developmentally appropriate communication with children about climate change, but also to include them in actions or to be their advocates for the very youngest children who cannot speak for themselves.